1954, a simpler time.
Dodgeball is a sport of violence, exclusion, and degradation.
A more innocent time.
Make sure you pick the bigger, stronger kids for your team. That way, you can all gang up on the weaker ones. Oh, you're out for a dodgeball!
Mabari!
Based on a true underdog story, baby.
True underdog story is a goddamn understatement. Look, this is great pick. Fantastic pick. But before we talk about why this is a Millennial classic, please tell me and the people out there, what did you remember about this movie before you rewatched it for the podcast?
Okay.
What came to your mind when you thought Dodgeball is a Millennial classic?
Okay, so because this is important, because this also changed after I watched it. Because this is one of those movies, kind of like kid or one of those things where when you're a kid, it's so much better, and then when you go back to it, you're like, all right, it wasn't as good as I remembered. Because I always thought that this movie was like hilarious. I think everyone quoted it.
Yes.
When I was a kid, all the time.
Yes.
It made Dodgeball cool, even though I never played it. I never played Dodgeball.
Facts.
And then it had like a ton of famous people in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
But going back at it now, and then you're like, dude, like none of these people really like make a ton of movies anymore. And it's just the plot is paper thin. But it brings such good memories from that time.
Yes.
And it's kind of like one of like the lower class of comedies from that time, because there were all those huge ones that came out like Old School and Anchorman, and this is like a step below that.
Yes.
But it still brought the heat. I still died laughing 20 years later, 15 years later. But that's why I picked it, because it was like I remembered it so well. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course. And I have to double down on that, because like when I think of Dodgeball, like before I even watched the movie, like there are very few movies like that you think of the bad guy or the antagonist before you think of the good guy.
Yeah.
And like you like Infinity War, you think of Thanos, right? Like in my head, when I was thinking about Dodgeball before I rewatched it for this podcast, the number one person that came to my head was Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's who you think about before, like when you think about Dodgeball, you think about him, because it's just, he's like comedy gold in this movie. He's so fantastic. And we'll get into the details.
We're going to get into that later.
Exactly.
But to your point, this movie feels like Vince Vaughn just walked on Ben Stiller, like actually like created a character, and it's hilarious.
It's fantastic. Like, you know, like you think about these kind of movies where they have like a low budget, and you think that like some of these actors would be like, you know, just like walking through the steps. Like Ben Stiller took this super serious, and it's the best thing ever. Anyways, let me give you guys the plot of the movie, and then we'll talk about the details moving forward. All right. So Dodgeball, a true underdog story, is a 2004 American sports comedy film. Hilarious. Written and directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber. Who
pretty much just works with The Rock right now.
He really does. I mean, I did do a little bit of research, but he really just does like anything that he writes, directs. The Rock is the star character.
Yeah, which is not a bad trailer to fucking hit you. Not a bad, yeah.
It really is. It really is. I mean, it's probably a gold mine, to be honest. Anyways, Peter LaFleur, played by Vince Vaughn, is the owner of Average Joe Gym, and his mortgage. He defaults on the gym's mortgage, and it's purchased. The gym that he owns is purchased by White Goodman, played by Ben Stiller. The reason this movie is a Millennial classic is because the owner of Globe's gym across the street, who is Ben Stiller, I'm sorry.
The plot is pretty much they got to raise $50,000 to save their gym.
Exactly.
And the only way they can do that is by winning a dodgeball tournament.
Exactly.
It's paper thin. Like it also makes no sense at certain parts why they're doing it. But at the same time, it's just like, it's one of those movies where you can just tell they pitched it and they were like, we're going to play dodgeball. And it's just going to be based on dodgeball, and that's it.
Which I absolutely love. So let's get into the details of this movie, because I know you keep saying that the plot is I know you keep saying that the plot is paper thin.
It is this is the definition of a thin plot. I think when I looked down at when they were pitching, let's just play dodgeball, it was 15 minutes in. Yeah, that was like all the character development was in that 15 minutes, and then like they were just like, "All right, we got to play dodgeball."
Can we please?
That was it. I'm not joking.
I know, but can we please talk about that intro? I mean, everything up until the fact that they decide to play dodgeball. Did you see the intro where they had Mexicans push? They had Mexicans push Vince Vaughn's car, Peter LaFleur's car, to the okay. We'll talk about if this movie can be made in 2020.
I thought this movie was rated R.
Fucking Christ!
When I watched it, I was like, "Wait, was this movie rated R?" Because I don't remember it being rated R, and then I checked, it wasn't. Do you know that?
It's not. So I'm surprised that it's not, but at the same time, there wasn't anything extravagantly. Like,
they just said wild shit.
Yeah, they did just say a couple of wild shit. And the death of the coach, we'll get there in a little bit, but the death of the coach I thought was super unnecessary.
It was funny.
It was fun-ish.
And you knew it was going to happen as soon as you saw the luck of the Irish. So.
Right, exactly. But let's talk about the build-up to the point where they decide that they're going to play dodgeball, because that does happen very, very, very quickly, right? But at the same time, like, this is the kind of comedy that you just like you put on and you just lose your mind. Like, you don't even pay attention to the movie that's playing, but you just take on all the jokes. It's like a movie made just for like punchlines and comedy.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Exactly. But it is a millennial classic because it was so important at the time. At the time, this was fantastic. This was fucking fantastic. There's a lot of things that just made me feel a little weird-ish watching it in 2020. But at the same time, I would still watch it. I have to say this. In the beginning of the movie, when they're trying to raise money before they decide to play dodgeball.
that's actually one of the funniest jokes that like still works now.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Squeegeeing that one.
Not to be a naysayer or anything, but the only customer we've had is that weird guy who keeps paying Justin to wash his truck.
That's it, boy. Get in there nice and deep like.
Yeah, that's not good.
God, this sucks.
And then the dude with the dog is just like watching him. He's just like, keep going.
Right. It's like the most awkward, weirdest scene ever. But god damn it, I love it. Yeah, the dude is watching him wash his tire and he's putting his finger in his belly button. It is so awkwardly funny. I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
And then like the other joke that works is the sexual harassment joke when Vince Vaughn's like,
yes.
What are you doing down here, pretty eyes? what do they make you do? And she's like, sexual harassment.
Exactly. She's a Kate Vetch. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but yeah, she plays this the lawyer that joins the dodgeball team, the average Joe's dodgeball team.
The only woman in the movie.
Exactly. She is the only woman
besides
in the movie.
The dodgeball chick.
The psycho dodgeball chick.
Yeah.
The psycho dodgeball chick, which we will get to in a hot second. Okay. Can we talk about this? So we're already talking about the cast.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Cast is pretty small.
I think it
is small budget.
Very small budget and very small cast.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know the names of anyone outside of Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller.
Justin Long, Rip Torn was Zed.
Oh, no, you're right. No, you're right. That's fair. Justin Long, you definitely do know. And I love the fact that Justin decided to use his name in this. I don't know if he made that decision, but Justin is playing Justin.
Lazy. I think they were just being lazy.
Of course they'd be lazy.
They rewrote the script a ton of times. Ben Stiller like had to take a pay cut to for them to make this movie. The commentators,
Yeah.
Gary Cole and Jason Bateman, were probably after Ben Stiller, they're like the second best part. They
Straight-
like have to keep on
facts.
redoing their lines because they just kept on rewriting the movie.
What, are you being serious? Is
Yeah.
this straight facts?
Yeah.
See, I
What?
didn't even know that because Jason Bateman in 2020 is the greatest. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Mumburi, are you watching Ozark?
Ozarks, no. Because
Wait,
I already saw Breaking Bad. Why didn't you see it again?
No, stop.
Why didn't you see it? Why do I need to see it again?
Burry, do me a favor and watch Ozark. It's literally the greatest thing. And it's
I don't have time. It's a quarantine.
No. I understand it. I get all of your bullshit, but look, listen. Watch Ozark. I watched Breaking Bad. You need to watch Ozark. It's the greatest thing ever. Jason Bateman, like when I saw him in this movie after watching Ozark, when I rewatched this movie and seen this, I was like, this is insane. The dude has range like no other actor I have ever seen, because in Ozark, he's the most serious accountant fucking guy ever. And in this movie, he's a fucking, dare I say, retard. He's a fucking...
I also had questions about the pirate. These type
Oh
of
my
movies,
God.
they have a lot of these like
said it.
super dumb
Yes.
characters, which like you never see in real life.
Of course.
Like I was watching it with my brother, and someone threw a milkshake at the pirate, and he said some shit, and I was like, I've never ever seen that happen in real life. First off, milkshakes now are like $10. You know, just throw that shit out and it'll fucking buy. I mean,
Yes.
like things like that happen in movies. It's like this movie is just full of so many cliches.
Yes.
Like he doesn't have a car that works, doesn't pay any of his bills,
Of course.
doesn't do anything, and then like is about to get his gym foreclosed because he lets people like pay with like I don't know.
No, I know what you mean, because that did piss me off, because the plot doesn't, I don't know, like
He's a likable loser is I guess the point, but still.
Exactly, because you want to feel bad for him, but at the same time it's like you can't own a gym and not have your fucking members pay their fees or whatever, like their membership. Like it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense.
So what was your favorite part? What was your favorite scene in the movie, or one of your favorite scenes?
My favorite scene was the build-up. Was when the Patches O'Houlihan during that training montage.
Okay, so the montage.
That montage is that's my favorite scene, and like yes, that's
a lot of quotes
scene.
in that scene too.
Of course.
Like if you can dodge traffic, you can dodge a ball. I remember that one. If you can dodge a wrench, obviously is the classic. You can dodge a ball.
Exactly.
The 5 Ds. All this stuff killed in middle school. Like all this shit. Every single one of these jokes.
He said it killed in middle school. Yes, the 5 Ds. But Burry, can I please test you on your dodgeball trivia?
Yeah.
Can you please name me those 5 Ds?
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Congratulations.
There we go.
You are a dodgeball connoisseur.
There we go.
Yes. That's my favorite scene. Like that's my favorite part, and that's what you remember about the movie. And I don't think you can blame it. I don't think you can blame this movie if that's your favorite scene of the book. Like, I mean, if that's your favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that like doesn't get enough recognition is this technically is a sports movie.
We're gonna talk about that.
No, because this movie would have sucked if the dodgeball scenes weren't good. But it's like fun to watch the dodgeball scenes.
It really is. It actually is fun to watch the dodgeball scene.
Like when they come back and they like do that like 3-on-2 switch where like he catches it, then she catches it, and then they're like it goes to 3-1 or whatever. I mean that scene, that's like Rocky levels of like sports movie.
Slow your roll.
Okay.
We got a couple of we got a couple of Podcast is the main
But okay, so but
definitely not Rocky level, right? It's definitely not Rocky. Maybe
Yeah.
Rocky 3 level.
Okay,
But it's
okay.
definitely not Rocky level.
but all right, my favorite scene though
Yes.
is when White Goodman goes to like pick her up for a date that she has no idea is going on. She opens the door and she's like, I mean, White has so many good lines in that, but she's like, how do you know where I live? And he goes, Freedom of Information Act. The hippies did one thing right. I'm kidding, except I'm not. And then like they never explain why everyone just shows up. Peter LaFleur just shows up too. They don't
Right.
He fires her to date her.
It's insane.
And she seems really chill about it. She's pissed for like a second, and then her next thought is like, "I'm gonna play dodgeball with you guys."
Which is,
but it's my favorite scene because it's just like that's like peak Ben Stiller's character. He's like dressed in all white with like the neck scarf,
right?
And he's like, "Nobody makes me bleed my own blood."
Amazing scene. Absolutely amazing.
And then when he dips, he hops on the back of a moped,
right?
Driven by Michelle, and gives him the finger. Then you're like, where was he gonna go with her? Was she gonna like ride on the moped with her? What was
the three of them all on one single moped?
But it's just a classic. It's like a classic villain scene.
It is a classic.
You establish this dude's a piece of shit. Before it was like he's like an egomaniac. He like reads the dictionary and he's like, I like to work up a sweat in my mind. Like you could just tell he's like an idiot bad guy. But that scene was like, yeah, this dude's a villain.
He's a villain. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The fucking unicorn situation. Like, do you think that's a callback that they made in the first run of like recording the movie and they hope to bring it back? Because I thought it was so out of place watching it. Like when I watched it earlier today, I was like, what the fuck was the point of making her a psycho unicorn loving person? And they just, it's one scene and they never call it back. And it's just the fact that she's obsessed with unicorns.
I just think they have to have every character has to have like something weird about them. I think that's it.
I mean, I guess. But Vince Vaughn or Peter LaFleur doesn't have anything weird about him outside the fact that he's just kind of a bum of a gym owner.
Yeah, he's just a bum.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I didn't like the fact that she was a unicorn lover. I thought that was weird. It was out of place. And if they called it back later in the movie, it would have made sense, but they never did. And I thought, I just thought it was weird. But like, I don't know. No, you're right. That entire time up until the fact that Vince Vaughn, until Peter LaFleur gets into the house, that scene was fantastic.
Insane.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Blood is such an iconic line.
It's an iconic line. It's 100%, 100% an iconic line.
But so the movie was actually pretty well received. It had, you know what its Rotten Tomato score was?
Yes, I do know what the Rotten
70%, which is pretty good especially for a comedy, right? And it opened to 20 mil. I mean, opened to 29 million on a $20 million budget. Grossed over 100. It was a hit. So obviously, it was pretty well received.
Yes.
What do you think about it now? Like when you watched it now, did anything age like really badly? Because in comedies like this, a lot of stuff, some stuff ages badly, and some stuff, like obviously some of the jokes are not going to age well. Like that's true for like even Wedding Crashers is probably like my favorite comedy of all of them.
We need to talk about that on a different day and a different time. But no, you're right. No, and that's a really good point. Especially when you go back and watch it. Like I mentioned that the Mexicans pushing the thing.
I mean that's just a good joke. I'm joking.
No, okay. So like there's a few things that pop out as just like nonsensical, but at the same time, like Dodgeball is such a staple, right? It's such a staple in my memories, in my brain, in my like filmography, like lexicon, that I kind of don't blame them for having these stereotypical bullshit jokes, right? Yes, obviously the story doesn't make sense. Fucking a dodgeball tournament for $50,000. The OSQ, that's how you figure it out. The side I don't want to say side characters, but like the extras, basically, it's a lot of it. Like,
well, they flat out just don't make movies like this anymore.
They
Like,
don't.
all the comedies now have to have like a good concept and a lot of characters, and it has to like have a deeper meaning than just like jokes all the time. Like, they literally just don't make movies like this anymore. But the stuff that aged, that's why the plot stuff kind of ages really poorly, because it's really just like,
it's a comedy for comedy's sake.
yeah.
That's what this movie is.
But but it seems like it was mad fun to film on, because it seemed like everyone was having a good time. But the other part that didn't age well, obviously, Lance Armstrong.
Yes, but I mean, I had that in my notes.
I was trying to think of like who would have been a worse person to pull up next to him.
There's no comparison.
And it was literally it was like if R. Kelly, Kevin Spacey,
Bill Cosby.
Oh my God. Could you imagine if that did? I mean, how mad would you be if your ending to your movie was like Bill Cosby walks up and like, oh, I never quit.
Yo.
And then like that would have killed this movie.
But I love the fact that you brought that up, because I thought about that and I was like, baby,
like Lance Armstrong, like I feel like the fact that no one gives a shit about cycling for the most part means that like it's never gonna.
He's the greatest cycler
so
in
it's
the
not
world
gonna
for
matter.
the majority of people. Yes, they took away his gold medals and they made him like return him, but like that's all. Like the rest of the majority of population, cycling. But you're 100% correct.
It just feels weird. It just seems weird to see him. Yes. But so that part really stuck out. And then the parts that aged pretty well, I mean, Jason Bateman as the commentator really aged well, because I mean that dude's been on fire. And I wrote down, he definitely, out of the whole cast, he probably has the most juice like in Hollywood right now out of everyone.
Oh, 100%. Which is look, listen. Let's talk about that for a hot second.
Yeah.
Because that is insane, right? You have Justin, right? You have fucking Vince Vaughn, which you think like right now in Vince Vaughn's career, what year did Dodgeball come out? In 2004, right? It's 2004, Dodgeball comes out. He makes Wedding Crashers. Like, you think Vince Vaughn is going to be the fucking Robin Williams? He's going to be like the comedy star of the fucking decade. Like, you think he's going to be?
I mean, he pretty much was, because
kind of, because outside of Dodgeball, it's just Wedding Crashers.
No, I mean, Starsky and Hutch was the same year. And that was with Ben Stiller also.
Yes.
He had Be Cool, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Wedding Crashers, The Breakup.
Holy fuck. He really did.
Four Christmases, Couples Retreat. And then it kind of gets off
after the
rails there. The Watch, The Internship, not Anchorman 2 is not really a.
Yeah, he's not in Anchorman.
The Dilemma. But now he doesn't really do like comedies, really. I mean, he was Fighting with My Family in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Hacksaw Ridge with Mel Gibby.
Mel Gibby.
In 2016. And he's on Curb. He's on Curb in 2000 now, but like you can.
Wait, is he actually on Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Yeah.
But
he's not like
You got that HBO. You got the HBO membership, huh? You living that good life, huh? Even during the
quarantine, bro. I think that shit's free right now.
Congratulations.
But no, him and Ben Stiller, like, they slowed down from. I mean, because they were like the biggest names,
of course,
in Hollywood in the 2000s. So obviously they slowed down, because no one. It's literally like Tom Cruise and like Leo, who who still make like A-list movies
Yeah.
20 years later.
Mhm.
But like Ben Stiller also slowed down. But Jason Bateman, if you look at his, he does more TV, but he was just in Game Night 2018.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Of course, I've seen Game Night, and I thought it was. I don't want to say a decent. It was better than a decent comedy. I thought it was a good comedy, but like.
But those are the only comedies that they're making right now. It's either like those types of comedies where it's like a concept.
Yeah.
Game Night blockers and that kind of stuff, or it's like Central Intelligence where it's like Kevin Hart and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and they just tell a lot of jokes
bullshit,
and stuff blows up.
Yeah.
But they don't make like Dodgeball type comedies.
Yeah,
and even like if you look at I actually looked at the list of the comedies in the 2000s and then the 2010s, and after like 2015, it gets really bad really quick.
Which is crazy. Which is absolutely crazy.
It gets it's like what was the Tiffany Haddish Girls Night? Girls Trip.
Look, that was a decent comedy. Maybe I'm not the what's it called? What's it called when they make movies for specific population?
Demographic.
I'm not the demographic, but
but that was just that was a good comedy. But like
exactly, yes, I agree. It
but
was a good.
When you look at the past 5 years, it's literally like that movie, Game Night blockers, maybe Booksmart was pretty good.
Booksmart was, I think, really good. We'll talk about that later. I don't know. Like,
but you see what I'm saying? It's like
I know exactly what you're saying, because they don't make comedy for comedy's sake anymore, because they're like everyone is way too socially.
It's hard.
Aware.
I mean, I'm like, we have some of the quotes up, and some of the shit is rough to say now, but it's all so funny. Like,
yes,
it's so it pops out so much because it's not said anymore that I think it actually makes the movie better.
Can I please say one of the quotes that I fucked up in the intro? Yeah. It says, "Here at Globagem, we're better than you, and we know it."
That whole Globagem. So this movie does that a bunch of times where it just like switches. It has a Globagem intro.
Yes.
It has the Rip Thorn, the old school Dodgeball explainer.
Yes.
With Hank Azaria's Rick Thorn.
When he was younger.
Just shits on kids and like pro bullying and all that stuff.
Exactly.
But a ton of quotes.
And all of that and all of that stuff, you wouldn't get the okay in 2020. You can't make a movie where it's like positively, like they're like, okay, you can make this movie with the fact that he's saying you should pick the stronger people because you're going to get to shit on the weaker folks. Like, you can't do that in 2020. But the fact that in this movie, they did that with no holds bar. They just did not give a shit. And it was like, great. And it's perfect because, yes, that's what human beings think. Yeah. That's how human beings think. And no, I don't know. Of course, I agree. Like, yeah, we need to be kinder, good people, but this is what we think. And like, I don't know. White Goodman
with the classic, there's no reason we need to be shackled by the structures of an employee-employer relationship unless you're into that sort of thing, in which case I got some shackles in the back. I'm just kidding. But seriously, I've got them.
I was watching that and I was like, a homeboy definitely has shackles. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because he's like, I mean, I'm just kidding, but I actually do.
I mean, that character does so much stuff that you've never seen. Like, he has that like pump for his crotch. Yes. And then he has the pizza scene where he's like shoving pizza down his pen. And you're just like, what the hell is going on?
Can we talk about that for a hot second, bro? Bro, like, I'm telling you, because in the beginning of the movie, he's like, he has, like, he loses, like, he's like the, he's the subway guy, I forget that subway
Jared
guy.
Fogle?
Jared Fogle. He's basically Jared Fogle.
Thank God that dude's not in this movie.
That's what I was thinking. Exactly. Right. But he's basically Jared Fogle in the beginning of the movie, right? And at the end of the movie, he loses his way because he loses the ownership.
Which also doesn't make sense. The end of the movie kind of doesn't make sense.
It
but
doesn't make any sense, bro. Like all of this shit it doesn't make any sense. But it's just gags and laughter for laughter's sake.
It's like it reminds me of like almost not as like overt, but like almost like a scary movie. You know those where the story is just like there so that the jokes can be there.
Exactly. And Maburi, I actually wanted to talk to you about this, but like, do you think like is the concept bigger than the plot, or do you think that plot has to be like fucking? Do you think that the plot has to be tight knit, fit, like legit for a movie to be a movie, or do you think that the concept, or do you think that the concept has to be just good enough for the bullshit plot to work?
If it's a comedy, I think. I mean, obviously, this isn't going to go down as like the greatest comedies of all time.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
I mean, and then like if you think about like the comedies that you like really remember, their plot than this movie. They had more character growth and like that kind of stuff. But like as far as just like a perfectly watchable movie, I don't think you need any of that.
Like a legit plot.
Yeah.
I respect it. Especially for, and it's fantastic that you said it before, like I actually asked a question, but like, especially for comedies and scary movies. I know that jump scares people.
Scary movies, I think you need a little bit more.
You need a little bit more, but like, I feel like if you have enough jump scares where like you actually scared at the end of the movie, and we'll talk about this later. That's different. Anyway, Mumburi, question. Yeah. Who do you think was the worst side character, actual character? What do you think fucked up this movie? Who did you not like in this movie?
I hated Justin Long's character.
Wait, really?
Just because I feel like maybe it's because from now, I feel like he's always played the same character. And I think when you go back and watch it, it's like this dude. This dude, he's just annoying to watch. But the pirate guy, I feel like they should have had him. I mean, at least explain that shit a little bit. Like, why is he dressed as a pirate?
Right. Yeah.
Like, tell him his parents left him at like a water amusement park or some shit, dressed as a pirate, and he's never left or something like that. You know. Something that explains why this dude says R. You made it.
Yeah. So, for those who
that like character growth at the end, and you have no idea why.
Exactly. Look, listen. From the get, and I even watching the movie over again, like earlier today for this, the podcast. Alan Tudyk, or however you say his name, the pirate character was literally my worst. It doesn't make any sense.
He's good in A Knight's Tale.
Like, I don't know what that means.
Heath Ledger.
Good, congratulations. Good for you. I'm happy you turned it around. But in this movie, he just pissed me the fuck off. He really, I'm just like, no one in real life would take this person seriously. It doesn't make sense, especially because the way you introduce to this character is the fact that he can't pay his gym dues, his fucking fees or whatever, the bill. It just doesn't make any sense. So he is literally the worst. Watching this movie, he aggravated me the entire time.
I just think they should have just explained his character better. But I got two questions for you.
Talk to me.
One, when do you think this movie takes place?
When?
You think it takes place in 2004?
Oh, well, in 2020, yes, I will say 2004.
You think when they were filming it in present day?
I want to say yes. I want to say yes, but I would hope at the same time in my head, I'm hoping that they're just like relying on bullshit comedy.
So I didn't know this, but apparently the movie is supposed to take place in 1993. Did you realize that?
I
didn't realize that at all.
Of course not. Of course I didn't.
But his car's
realize
mad old.
Oh yes. Oh, that is a good point. Yes, his car is mad old, but it's also But we're also supposed to believe that he just doesn't pay anything for anything. So it could be any time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could also be. Yeah.
But then I had another question.
Talk to me.
If your gym was closing down, would you work this hard to get it back?
Not if someone offered me $100,000.
No, I'm talking about the other guys, like the guys who just go to that gym. That always like when Justin Long's like, I can't work out anywhere else. I can't work out at home. I'm like, don't you have school? What is this dude?
I'm so happy you brought that up because I was so confused as to why the members were so invested into this fucking. I was like, why are these members invested?
I mean, if Planet Fitness is like, we got to do a tournament. You got to practice with us every day for like a week to get this gym back. I'm good, bro.
Right? No, I was thinking the exact same thing. Look, if this is some like local gym that like it's just him, it's just the average Joe guy, it's Vince Vaughn, Peter LaFleur, and that's the only gym he owns, maybe, just maybe I can understand it. But if it's like a Planet Fitness situation, the entire movie, I'm like, there's 1,000 other gyms you can sign up to, right? So like, yes, you are right, Maburi. The plot makes no fucking sense, but it's a comedy. It's a comedy. It is indeed a comedy. And I don't know. I think that's what makes it a millennial classic. Because look, with all the bullshit that we've been talking about for the past 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the fuck it is, right? Yes, we've been trashing this movie for the majority of this situation.
But it's such a great movie.
That's the thing.
The other weird thing is it's no one's in the movie's best movie.
Of
course.
It's
not Vince Vaughn's best movie.
Nope.
It's not Ben Stiller's best movie.
Nope. Meet the Fockers is his best movie. It's no one's best movie, but it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, everyone is just like at the right place at the right time.
Exactly. And that's what this movie is, right? For everyone listening, watching, whatever the situation is, it's the right movie at the right time. And everyone just comes and does what they need to do to make this movie what it is, right?
Yeah.
So
one last thing.
Go ahead, hit me.
So if they were saying like we're gonna take the Dodgeball brand and reboot it, right? Brand new movie, completely new plot, characters. What would be like your pitch? What would be like your idea to make a new Dodgeball movie?
So like I was thinking, I really was thinking about that because we really do need to think about like what could be the 2020 version of this movie. And like the thing is, it needs to be an obscure enough sport where people know it but don't understand it, right?
Oh, I forgot before we get into this.
Go ahead.
On the best scenes part, we talked about the montages and the intro.
Yep.
And the Global Gym recruitment video, but we forgot to talk about all the other teams. Because Skills That Kills was definitely so funny because they were just breakdancing and getting their ass beat. But
bro,
all the other teams were so good. You knew immediately like who these people were as soon as you saw them.
Can we talk about that for a hot second, bro? Look, listen, I love that. Thank God, Maburi, thank you, because I almost forgot about talking about this because I don't know what happened in like the 5 years since Dodgeball, like since 2004 to like 2010, right? Like I don't know what happened during that time, but people just didn't give a fuck about stereotypes. Those Japanese folks in the underwear.
Yeah, the Japanese guys, not a good look.
I felt bad laughing at the scene when they were doing like karate kicks and shit.
Yeah.
It just, yo, I'm telling you, like, yeah, that movie really was. It really is a timepiece.
It's like the perfect airplane comedy.
Exactly. It is the perfect. Yes.
If you catch
yes.
this on a Delta, you're like, it's not bad.
Exactly. Because it really is like you have to put yourself in the situation of it's 2004 and this is what's happening in 2004. Because if you put yourself in the mindset of like this is a movie that came out 10 days ago, 2 days ago, whatever the fuck days ago.
Or it's like a comedy masterpiece. It's not. But it's like it's just a perfect bite-sized movie you can put on. So let's go back because I interrupted you when you were talking about the 2020 version of this. Oh
yeah, the 2020 version of this. Look, listen. If there has to be a sport, like my gut instinct was to say like tennis because that's the closest thing everybody has to like things that are relatable because of Serena Williams and fucking Federer, whoever the fuck it is, right? Like, but it's just not a team sport. Like, that's the closest thing I can get to it.
Like badminton or some shit like that.
Exactly. It has to be a sport that Americans who are the number one for this fucking movie population that bought and watched this movie is. But at the same time, like I couldn't give you a legitimate sport just because, like, just because this movie is it asks you to believe too much bullshit. It asks you to believe way too much bullshit for it to be legitimate, right? Like even if it was a movie about badminton. Right? Yeah. Like an Olympic sport that is badminton. Even if it asks you to believe that, you'd be like, this, it just doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, it's 2020. But if this movie was made in 2004, yes, I would most definitely believe this movie. Even if it was about bowling, I wouldn't give two shits because this movie is funny enough to keep my attention. That's all that matters.
Do you know what I also realized?
Talk to me.
I realized this movie's already been remade, kind of. You know what movie I'm thinking about?
Talk to me.
I'll give you two guesses. It's like a major movie with a lot of stars.
A major movie with a lot of stars?
Not huge stars, but like Hannibal Buress is in it.
Wait. Pause. I really want to guess. Are you being serious?
No, I'm being dead serious.
Wait, what? Is it like the female version of Ocean's 8? Was it Ocean's 8? No. Wait. Okay. Shit. Wait. Fuck. Wait. Let me get my second guess. Wait. Let me get my second guess. Wait. A movie with Hannibal Buress, and it was remade a sports movie. Fucking A. Why can't I think of this? Wait. Tell me. But Burry, tell me. Wait.
Tag.
What movie? Oh my. Yes,
because it's pretty close to this. It's like a bunch of friends play tag with each other. So it's like pretty sports, but it's also just an out-and-out comedy.
It's just a comedy.
So that's like the closest movie I could say to this.
It really
but
is.
This is way better.
Exactly. And I don't know if is this more of a statement to the culture of where we are as human beings? But, like, you're right. Like, tag is like a bullshit. Like, I don't need to care about anything.
Also based in a true story.
Wait, are you saying I knew Tag was based on a true story. Is Dodgeball really based on a true story?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I have no idea. They stated.
Look, listen. I'm gonna tell you this answer right now. It's not. It's not. It can't be. It really can't.
I'm just gonna keep on saying based on a true story until someone tells me it's not.
Look, listen. I love that you said that. I absolutely love that you said that because yes, we are way too aware and we are way too sensitive in 2020 to take in a movie that is Dodgeball. If Dodgeball were to come out today, in 2020, people would be like, oh, this is too offensive. This is too whatever the fuck it is, right? We can't accept it. We can't love it. We can't laugh at it. But it came out a couple of years earlier, and it is a fantastic movie. Bro, a millennial classic is an understatement because everyone and their mother loved this movie. This movie was fucking hilarious. When they came out in their fucking the chain link, whatever, and he had daddy wrapped around his fucking neck.
And your first thought is like, why is he wearing that?
Right?
You don't need to wear the daddy part.
You don't, but he did, and it was hilarious. It was fucking hilarious. It might not be as great as Vince Vaughn's in Wedding Crashers, but it really was hilarious. And I fucking love this movie. I really do love this movie. And I think most millennials, this is a staple in their filmography lexicon because it's how we decide what comedy is, like, right? Like in my head, when I go through the list of the best comedies I've ever watched, Dodgeball has to be a part of it. And a big part of that is Ben Stiller. Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about Meet the Fockers later. Maybe we won't. Who knows? Keep listening and maybe you'll figure it out. But Ben Stiller was a great point. Like he was like the reason. He brings it. He brings everything you need in this movie. And this movie was fucking fantastic. I fucking love this movie because of Ben Stiller. It is a millennial classic because of Ben Stiller. Mumburi, before we close this situation out, before we close this, I have to ask you, could this movie come out today? And if it were to come out today, who would be the cast members? Who would be the major stars? What do you think? How can this movie come out in 2020 and be a success story as big as it was in 2004?
Well, I think it's clear that Kevin Hart would be in the remake. He would be in the remake, and I think he'd get his buddy The Rock to be the head of Global Gym. And The Rock would get like John Cena to be his consigliere, the Michelle. And well, there's also, you've seen Pain and Gain.
Yes, I have seen Pain and Gain.
That's pretty like The Rock can clearly be like a weirdo, muscle-bound guy.
Of course. He really can't be.
And maybe, you know what? Maybe not Kevin Hart. Maybe Mark Wahlberg. I feel like Mark Wahlberg would love to do this type of like.
Wait. Who would Mark Wahlberg be? You think Mark Wahlberg would be White Goodman?
No, he'd be the good guy.
Have you seen Spencer? Did you watch Spencer?
Spencer Confidential was one of the worst movies that I've seen.
Wait.
I can't believe you just called it Spencer. Like it's a well-known, like, yo, you seen Spencer?
Do you really believe that?
It's so bad. And it's free. It was on Netflix. It cost nothing. It just. Of
course, it was on Netflix, bro. Netflix.
It's like a classic Netflix movie. It's so.
Because Netflix will do anything and everything to just get a good name on their fucking.
I literally watched one Netflix movie called Io with Anthony Mackie, and after I finished, I literally out loud said, "What the fuck?" I can't believe I watched that movie. It was nothing happened, but I was riveted for 2 hours trying to see if there's like a deeper meaning or something like that. Nothing. Netflix.
Stop.
You can count the good movies Netflix has made like in one hand. So to call that shit Spencer.
Yeah, that movie was fucking insane, bro. Like 30 seconds into the movie, I was like, when does this end? Bro, like, I'm telling you, I hated that movie. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But Mark Wahlberg's done the other guys. He's done like comedies, and I
Yeah.
think he could play the straight man. The only reason I picked Kevin Hart was because he is in every comedy, but that character kind of has to be a straight man. So I'd probably go Mark Wahlberg and The Rock.
Yeah. No, I think that makes it makes the most sense. I hate to say this,
But Mark Wahlberg might be too ripped. You might for average Joes.
right? Yeah, no. But like, no, you're right, because like I don't know. I don't know. Like, I feel like Mark Wahlberg has a standard, and The Rock does not have a standard. He's like, as long as you're willing to pay me as much as I'm asking, I'll do whatever the fuck you want me to do.
Jake Johnson from New Girl. He was also in Tag.
Yes.
That dude would be a good average Joe. And then you just get a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
And then you get The Rock as a bad guy. There you go.
Exactly.
And the one woman in the comedy movie.
Who? Tiffany Haddish? I mean, Tiffany Haddish seems the most hungry. She's there. I don't want to say it like that, but like she's there, and she wants anything and everything.
She's already on set.
Yes, she is indeed already on set, but she's willing to do anything that has comedy attached to it. It's the fucking worst. It's the fucking worst. All
right. Well, that's.
But yes, no, I agree with you 1,000%. I'm not even gonna put my 2 cents in that conversation, because you hit it on the fucking park. Mabari, look, listen. We call this the Millennial Classics, right? This is the name of the podcast. This is why people have come to the show. Please, before we end this podcast on a somber note, talking bullshit about the fucking movie and who could recast as these human beings, tell me the reason. Why is this movie a Millennial Classic, right? Number one, why is this movie a Millennial Classic? And number 2, why should people fucking care? Why should people care?
You ever remember the first time you went to Foot Locker and you bought shoes, or your parents bought you shoes, but then because it's your first time, you also bought the entire shoe cleaning kit. You bought like the waterproof. You bought the shoe cleaning, the shoe smell. You bought everything.
Murray, I love you.
And then in that moment, you were on a high, because you're like, not only did I buy shoes, I bought stuff that I'm gonna keep these shoes for the rest of my life. It's gonna keep them clean. These are gonna be the dope. And then like when you go back and now and you think about them $18 you wasted and all that shit that you never used, that's why it's a Millennial Classic, because that first moment is what we remember. And that second moment is what we remember now.
Exactly. Look, listen, I can't listen. You see me fucking giggling at the fucking wazoo here, right? I can't agree more, right? Like when it comes to raunchy, raunchy comedies.
Did you say raunchy?
I don't want to say raunchy, but
it's raunchy, right? It's not graunchy.
I know it's not graunchy, but this was our entrance into the next movie we watch is American Pie, and maybe we talk about that later. But who gives a shit? All I'm saying is this was our entrance into being bad at the same time as laughing. As a millennial, Dodgeball was that movie. Dodgeball was the movie that allowed me to feel it. It opened the door for me to badder and better things, right? It allowed me to see badder and it's comedy for comedy's sake, and I fucking loved it. It's a Millennial Classic because that's what it is. It's just a comedy for comedy's sake, and you have to accept it as that as what it is. It says it right in the title. Who the fuck cares about Dodgeball? That's what it is. That's what you're getting yourself into. This is Vince Vaughn in his fucking prime. You get him and Ben Stiller. And Ben Stiller takes this to another fucking level. You really see Ben Stiller act his fucking ass off just for a fucking laugh. And it works. Every time it works. When Ben Stiller's on the screen, you are fucking laughing. He is fantastic in this movie. Every time he is on the scene. Every time he's on the screen. I love it. I love every time he's on the screen.
All right.
I mean, that's what you get.
I agree. Let's stop. Let's not go in circles. We know,
Exactly.
it's a Millennial classic, and I think that's it.